Hello, one and all. Welcome to the A to the K Wrestling Show. Joining us today is a former UFC, BJJ, and wrestling heavyweight champion and the man behind Bloodsport, which makes its London debut on the 28th of September, the one and only Josh Barnett. Josh, thanks for being here, man. How are you?
Good to be here. Be better to see everyone in person here next week.
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely,
absolutely. We're all looking forward to that.
indeed. Well, thank you for taking the time. So as Carl mentioned, this will be the first Bloodsport lands in London, and it's just the second time ever it's going to take place outside of the USA. So I just firstly want to ask sort of what made the Electric Ballroom in Camden the sort of right venue for such a historic UK debut?
Uh, Progress did. That's really what
Yeah.
it came down to. I mean, if you want to thank someone for bringing Bloodsport to London, thank Progress. I mean, they're the ones behind this.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I mean, just looking at the Bloodsport roster, I mean, you've put together a group of people that blends a variety of styles. You've got UFC veterans in there like Ollie Thompson and John Hathaway, boxers like RPD just being announced, and then obviously got catch wrestlers, submission grapplers, pro wrestlers. How important is kind of showcasing a mixture of styles to the identity of Bloodsport?
It's very important, but it's as long as things fall within the rubric of pure professional wrestling with everything that comes with that, which it would naturally steer itself in a more MMA oriented direction. Go
Yeah.
watch early pro wrestling that you can find the footage. Compare that to then how pro wrestling looks when Inoki brings Gotch over, even what Ricky Dozan had considered what pro wrestling was supposed to be. Go look back into some of the earlier or the early stars and guys of World of Sport and what's their background. They're
Mhm.
all legit fighters of some sort. Or even just to
Yeah.
say, everyone loves the four pillars of All Japan. Every single one of
Yeah.
them has a combat sports background. Everybody loves the Three Musketeers in New Japan. Guess what? And the new Three Musketeers. They
Mhm.
basically all have combat sports trainings background. I say the first Three Musketeers all combat sports backgrounds. Um, the new Three Musketeers would be like Shinsuke and it was Shinsuke, Tanahashi, and Shibata,
Mhm.
um, trained in the New Japan dojo. Shinsuke being an amateur wrestler. Shibata, I don't recall what I think he amateur wrestled. And then you have Tanahashi, who I think is the only one. I think he's a baseball player or something like that. But then when you go to the New Japan dojo, you get trained to be a catch guy. So it all makes sense and it all adds up. And so you can grab a guy from boxing, from catch, from whatever the combat sport, and Bloodsport is a place where all this meets in the same sort of ring, soup, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And
Blood.
we have we have seen some top names in professional wrestling enter Bloodsport, such as Moxley, MVP, Santino, Pete Dunne, and Natty or Natalia, just to name a few. I just wondered what does it mean to you to know that you've created something that sort of these top names in the business are sort of desperate to be a part of?
Um, I think yeah, well, what you're bringing up there is one of the greatest proofs of the concept itself.
Yeah,
And it's hard. A lot of people may not really even understand this. I mean, everybody's memory is about as about as deep as a hummingbird's these days. But well, a hummingbird might even have better memory than that. But they got to feed themselves constantly.
yeah,
uh, the reason that why I bring this up is that these athletes, uh, people like Moxley or
yeah,
Natalia, Natty,
Mhm.
uh, well, yeah, it would be cheating to say Shayna Baszler because she is my student, but uh, Pete Dunne. Okay, I mean, when I can keep rattling off all these names of everybody that's from the big companies that have
yeah,
been involved in Bloodsport, the reason why they're there is because they literally came to me saying, I want to be a part of this.
yeah,
People that are paid massive amounts of money under contract from major organizations say, yeah, we'll come and do this for substantially less to be a part of this because we think this is incredible. This is something that we desire and it's not an itch we can get scratched somewhere else. That to me is a really it's a real it's probably the strongest example of the concept behind one of the aspects of producing the show, is that it's a show for wrestlers, and it's wrestler
Yeah.
first and last.
Yeah, no, I mean you've definitely created something, as you say, people just desperate to be
Yeah.
a part of it. But you
And
touched
with
on it
that,
there.
I mean, I've heard a lot of different things about the feelings or approaches from some of the UK fan base too. And I've even seen a couple of people being like, "Oh, well, when's this WWE person getting announced?" Or I hope this. It's like, I am not here in business to facilitate bringing WWE wrestlers to you in ways that you feel like would be accessible to you that wouldn't otherwise. I mean, that's not my job. My job
Yeah,
is not to hire people from any particular company. My job is to build the best shows I can build, create the most interesting matchups, and other than that, there is no other desire. So with this card, no, it's not filled full of WWE or AEW talent, or it's not about any one organization. I have handpicked every single one of these wrestlers and matched them myself, based on what I think is going to make the most interesting and most exciting matchups. And that is also to say that me as a booker and a producer has a particular style and a flavor and an approach towards not just each individual match, but a whole entire card itself. If you watch my cards, they have a certain ebb and flow. Everything leads to the main events. We don't have the second match of the night taking 35 and a half fucking minutes to do a bunch of shit that no one's going to remember,
yeah,
for people that are there that are supposed to be in a position to help build the fucking audience up into the later matches of the night. I
yeah,
mean, that's not to say you hamstring yourself in some degree, but you work within the construct of the card. It isn't just everyone free for all. Everyone's out for themselves. We are we when these are done. I work with these wrestlers to create that. They're a part of that with me. So this
yeah, yeah.
card is going to be something that no one in the UK has ever seen before. You've never been to one of these shows unless you've traveled to the States and done it. You've never seen these wrestlers wrestle each other. If you've seen them wrestle each other somewhere else, it won't be the same here. Some of these wrestlers you've never seen wrestle before. Well, there's a reason why they're here, and it's
Yeah.
not something arbitrary or trite. If you've never been to one of my cards, and you have no fucking clue what you're talking about. So for everyone who thinks they know wrestling, you don't know wrestling, and just allow the thing to show you what it is. But you got to be there to do it, because if you're not there, you just don't have a clue. And watching somebody's clipped up bits and bobs that they put out there to get clicks is not the same as being in an actual wrestling show.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that approach. As you
Yeah,
say, it's
no, definitely the
I
right thing
think
to do.
it's a funny one because I think a lot of people have kind of looked at Bloodsport as being like the only place where at times you have had like WWE stars and AEW star on the same card at the same time, and it's like is Bloodsport like the real forbidden door in the wrestling business? But I love
Yeah,
the fact
I
that
mean, yeah, I get you there, and that's you could really. I honestly think that's a fair argument, that we're the most forbidden door of anything. Like, we've
yeah,
done things that people with substantially more money and more capability haven't been able to. But to be fair, we also are a very different position.
yeah,
From the AEW side, they're a direct competitor. We're a competitor to no one but ourselves. We just want to build
yeah,
the biggest, baddest, strongest product possible, and we're not there to do it at the expense of anyone else. We don't care if we make an AEW star more popular, or a WWE one, or a New Japan one, or an MLW. We don't care. Send someone back to NWA that just brought 10,000 more people with them. Fantastic. We think that when wrestling succeeds, the rising tide raises all boats. I know that seems trite in and of itself, a very cliche thing to say, but wrestling is a thing of Venn diagrams constantly overlapping each other, where not every promotion is going to have the same fan base, because they should be distinct in who they are and how they operate. I don't expect everyone to love Bloodsport, but I know I would also not expect everyone that's a huge Bloodsport fan to necessarily be a WWE fan or AEW fan or New Japan Pro Wrestling fan, but we know there's going to be a lot of overlap with that. And
Yeah.
with that, we want to be able to present matchups with people from these companies when possible in ways that you couldn't see even in the company that you normally like to watch them in. You know, we like to do that kind of stuff. And then look, I'm the agent, I'm the booker on this. I made sure that these matches are not the same match you see everywhere else. Which isn't to say I'm micromanaging people, but I'm there to help everyone do their absolute best. And you know what may come as a surprise to a lot of folks is that what you see these stars you think you know in this ring, they deliberately themselves choose to do things differently that they wouldn't be able to do where they're at normally. So this is truly an opportunity to come see these people almost entirely unchained. Given the opportunity to do anything they want, they choose to do this, and they choose to work with me to do it to the best they can in this ring. And you know, I didn't set out to become the forbidden door or whatever, or however you want to describe it. I just wanted to try and make the best shows I could. And I had talent that I had worked with that was already in WWE. People like Axel Wolf and Tim Thatcher and Shayna Baszler and all the Four Horsewomen when they were all there. So whenever I could have, I was like, hey man, I'd love to use this talent if you're not going to use them on this show, on this big showcase you have coming up or what have you. And you know, back in the day, it was always a polite, no, that's not, we wouldn't be able to do that this time, but you know, thank you. And it was just a constant in their ear, talking to them, and just look, they owe me nothing, whether it be WWE or New Japan or whoever. It's just me saying, look, I'm going to do something that's going to help us all. And if you would like to be a part of that, we'd love to have you. If it doesn't work for you, we get it too. But we're going to keep doing our thing.
Yeah, I love that. Great way to look at it.
Yeah. And to that point, obviously, aside from the names you mentioned, obviously you've had fighters such as Anthony Ogogo and Chris Bungard and Hedi Karui, who bring an incredible amount of international and cross-discipline experience. So I just wondered, sort of, when you are building the card, what qualities is it you're looking for that sort of, I suppose, makes somebody stand out to be the best fit for that environment?
Well, some of it really just comes down to just my own personal feeling, my gut on something, on whether I see what I think is there is necessary or not. Then the other aspects are things like, has this person been booked this way before? Or does this person come from a background that would allow them to perhaps even flourish more so even in this ring with the type of competitors that will be more alike in terms of their knowledge base than less, which is actually incredibly important. There's a lot of folks that have done, you know, it's become the kind of a thing now, which I guess is also a good indicator of its success, is that blood sport style matches, which is what they're calling this sort of shoot style concept now, as they do them across other promotions. I'm not even talking about when WWE did it with Raw Underground or NXT Underground. I mean, there's all kinds of wrestlers doing these on indie shows trying to do the same thing and so on. And a lot of times I just would see people and like, I see you have the image in your head, but you don't actually know what the packaging looks like, but you never actually have held, operated, or know anything about the product itself. And I watch it and I go, there's no spirit in it. The life doesn't exist. And it's not because they're bad people or they suck, or, you know, it's not to insult anyone. It's to say that they just fundamentally misunderstand what it is. You know, it's not because you did a cross arm breaker. It's not because it was, you know, you couldn't win by pin or something like that, or that there's no ropes. I mean, it's so much more than that, and yet it's a very small, simple thing that just happens to be everything when it comes to trying to find this. And you know, I also try to book true heavyweights because I'd seen over the years that within the indie side of wrestling, they just didn't exist anymore. And I wanted to be the kind of guy to go, no, I'll make that different. And if you go and look across our previous cards, let's just say you took WrestleMania week as an example, just cards across WrestleMania week. I would say, like, in terms of overall tonnage, like our cards, you could say match to match, like to like, in terms of, you know, if we're running 8 matches and you're running 15, obviously you just have more personnel, but arguably across the board and as a median, we got more weight in the ring. We got
Mm.
more big meaty men slapping meat. We got all of that, whatever you want to put it, and that's
Yeah.
on purpose. And at the same time, I'm also trying to do matchups that make sense in terms of like weight classes or something around there. And I just want to do what I can to try and give that feeling of total and utter legitimacy to what you're watching. I just wanted to pull people in, and I don't want them to sit back and to judge it and view it with the same lens and approach as a lot of the more invested fans of wrestling are, because whether you know it or not, you tend to fall into a rhythm. Because even a lot when
Hmm.
I watch these things, I can point the rhythm out as soon as I start watching a match. And most organizations are like, okay, here's the chain wrestling spot. Here's some of the like blow off, show off spots. Okay, here comes the apron spot. Now they'll roll outside. Now here comes the
Yeah.
special moves for this guy. Now here's this guy's special move. Now they'll finally go home. It's like, well, I don't. I know this is my job to know these things, but I know the fans know it too because I'll be
Mm.
there in the audience with them and watch how they approach the content of the match itself and seeing when they actually seem dialed in and when they're just clapping and whatever and like jump off the thing one more time for me or do
Yeah.
do something to get me to pop, right? They want to be popped, and the thing is that's not really how you try and burn the house down. That's just how you get to people at the simplest level, at the most
Yeah.
cheap level. But it's if it's the cheapest, it's the thing that gets eaten or thrown away or discarded or forgotten about the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I wanted to touch as well on obviously the Snake Pit in Wigan. Obviously, clearly
Mm.
holds a special place in your heart. You won the Catch Wrestling World Championships there in 2018, and we saw you're going to be honouring both obviously the Snake Pit and the legendary Roy Wood as well with a Lifetime Achievement Award at the show. I just wanted to ask, what has kind of Roy and the Snake Pit meant to you personally over the years?
Well, as a general, with Bloodsport, whenever possible, I want to honor those that help pave the way for not just what we do here, but in wrestling in general. And I feel that quite often these people they're known entities, but people really underestimate how important they've been
Mm.
towards what they enjoy today. And Roy Wood's a great example of that, and especially as the living figurehead of that lineage back to um, the original Riley Snake Pit Jim, who spawned so many incredible and important professional wrestlers and catch wrestlers and people that would highly influence what would become modern MMA today, not
Yeah.
just in one area, but as a global thing. And the Snake Pit's a fantastic place. We over here we have the American Catch Wrestling Association. We run catch tournaments down here, but we also bring it. We've been bringing a team over for the last 2 years, and now we're bringing. This will be our third year. We bring incredibly strong competitors, and at the same time, I give a clinic the week of the tournament at the Snake Pit to help bring their levels up too. We've had
Oh,
them
nice.
come
Yeah,
to the
that's awesome.
U.S. to compete in one of our tournaments, and then the whole week leading into it, we're running camps where we've got the Snake Pit wrestlers with all of our other groups, and everyone's training together and building their levels up. Because all this stuff, at the end of the day, we want this to be a wedding of like-minded individuals that are there to grow things and develop things, and in a sense, revitalize what used to be one of England's strongest things, one of English strongest exports. Um, and by us bumping their levels up and helping them in any way we can, having um, that um, that relationship to where the Snake Pit can go, hey man, we can facilitate people coming to the U.S., people from the U.S. coming to here, helping continue to promote and do what we can to help that tournament, not just as competitors, but also as fans, as people want to see their success, and doing everything we can, whether it's only a small improvement or a large one, but to help build up British catch as catch can and catch as catch can on the whole.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what you were saying about like the rising tides float all boats, isn't it? It's the
Yeah,
same stuff
exactly.
here.
Yeah,
It's obviously a clear
yeah,
thing that flows through.
yeah, truly. And obviously, as you mentioned, with the UK having such a rich history in catch wrestling, and with competitors like Kevin Lloyd and James Farrell and John Hathaway bringing that legacy to the event, I just wanted to ask sort of how important is it for you to sort of showcase that heritage on this card?
Huge. It's massive. And I haven't announced all the matchups yet, but I'll give you
Mm,
guys one kind of inside bit you can put on this
nice,
podcast, and that is
Oh,
there's
okay.
going to be
awesome,
a
thank you.
full-on catch wrestling match on this card.
Oh, nice.
Awesome.
And we'll
Hell
use
yeah.
one of the referees from the Snake Pit to officiate, but it will be under Snake Pit rules, pin or submission, only 5 minutes, and yeah, it'll be on this card.
Ah, that's
That's
epic. I
amazing.
mean,
Yeah.
how else could you showcase that other than actually doing a match?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. And
I wanted to
Eddie
ask.
Peru, he trained under me in the past many years ago. He was an IGA. He became an IGF guy. He's been doing, his lucha catch down in Mexico and teaching seminars and working a lot down there. He's been a part of Bloodsport, but also he faced Kev Lloyd once at the Worlds in
Oh,
catch
well.
wrestling and snake pit. So I mean, we have guys from all over the world coming out
Yeah.
here, all in the love of catch and blood sport.
I love that.
Yeah. Awesome.
Obviously, British fans known for being incredibly passionate and vocal and loud, whether it's wrestling, MMA, or boxing. What are you kind of expecting from an atmosphere standpoint when obviously Bloodsport hits London, and how do you think that's going to compare to like the American shows?
Well, I mean, there'll be less Cockney rhyming slang, I'm sure, in the American show than there would be in these. So these, I expect lots of Cockney rhyming slang, apples and pears and, all that. But bees and honey. Probably, I hope there's at least a handful of scouts that are just screaming and hanging on their G's the whole time, just overemphasizing the G's.
Love it.
I love that.
So Bloodsport London is obviously it's going to be part of a double header as well with Progress, as we sort of alluded to at the top of the show. I just wanted to ask, what is it about sort of Progress that made them such a great fit for a joint show? And I'm also curious if you have your eyes on any of the Progress roster for some potential future appearances.
I mean, the main thing is they came to us, and
Hmm.
it takes a kind of confidence to go look. Um, we'll be the backer on this thing. We'll help put this together and facilitate the arrangement. And you can't do that if you don't have the foundation underneath you to make it happen. Obviously,
Yeah,
Progress is a name that has been known throughout the international wrestling community. Uh,
yeah,
I guess if you want to call it that, for quite some time, and they are serious about what they're doing, and they're doing their part to try and build British wrestling uh, to a point that it has a large enough economy for not only the wrestlers and the promotions that exist there now to increase the potential of international crossover, and
mm,
also to gather and garner new talent. Because if someone sees like this is an endeavor at which you're not just going to break your body up and go broke to do it for the sake of it, then they'll be more attracted to want to give it a try. Also,
yeah,
by just increasing the visibility of professional wrestling, you might catch that person that really had never seen it before, or perhaps what was available wasn't to their taste. But when they see someone that is maybe more identifiable to themselves and competing in a way that perhaps they hadn't seen other places, you know, bang, maybe that person now gets bit and that next star to come out of the UK is born. So who knows?
yeah,
But I feel that, Progress showed how serious they were about putting this together, and that they were not just about trying to build something that they could then put a feather in their cap and say, look, we bring international talent over and
yeah,
so on and so forth. But in fact, no, we really want blood sport because we believe in it. So, okay, yeah, we're here.
yeah.
Ah, nice. I mean, lastly from us, you've given us so much of your time already. Just as the man behind Bloodsport, what do you want London to kind of take away from the very first UK show, and what are you most looking forward to about the event?
The simplest answer would be I want them to take away like, holy fuck, what was that? Never seen that before.
Love
You
it.
know, I've seen clips, I've read message boards, I've watched wrestling for, steady for 6 years straight now, and I've never felt anything like that. That's what I want them to say. I want them to to leave with different impressions, even over the wrestlers they hate. I want them to be just like, wow, okay, I thought I knew it, yet I didn't really. And in the long run, what I want them to do is to get a taste for this kind of style, but
Mhm.
also I want them to get acquainted with everyone that steps in that ring that night. And I want them to be people that, whether they were already fans of somebody, to see them in a new light with more and deeper appreciation, and those that they didn't know to have as new people to look towards when they're going out and watching wrestling.
Love it. Well, I mean, Sunday, 28th of September in Camden, Bloodsport London is going to be absolutely insane by the sounds of it. And yeah, we can't wait.
Indeed.
So yeah, Josh, thank you so much for taking the time.
No, it's going to be fantastic. These guys are going to give it their all, and I've worked very hard to put together. That's something I think that is also totally undervalued and understood, misunderstood. Uh,
Mm.
you can't just put anybody in this ring.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, yeah, put fucking wrestler A in this ring, and he's got a wrestler. I'm glad I like you. You like these guys, and nothing against that. None of those people you have just brought up to me have any capability that I am aware of actually doing this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not an insult. It's not trying to be harsh to these particular wrestlers. It's not even to be harsh to the fan that makes the request, but it's just there is a distinct fundamental lack of understanding that when you when you build something like this, and there is a certain, how do you say, like, it's not meant to necessarily be a barrier of entry, but it becomes that way if you don't have the talent in terms of
Yeah.
the base skill sets needed to work this style. And
Yeah.
it's not the easiest way to put it, and this is not to be derogatory in any way. You have to actually be a wrestler to
Mm.
be in Bloodsport. I don't
Yeah.
mean a worker. I don't mean, a pro wrestler in the sense of how we think of it. No, you have to be a legitimate, real wrestler first of some sort,
Yeah.
or a real fighter, a real combat sports athlete, or this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you go, well, what about Natty? Well, it's like, yeah, Natty grew up in a pro wrestling uh, dynasty built on catch and the
Yeah.
fundamentals of real wrestling, and has also spent years training with me, training under Shayna, even going to the Greasy Academy on trips out to California. I mean, this is not. She didn't just show up and all of a sudden said, "Hey, I could do submission holds and act like I'm fighting people." It wasn't like that.
Mm.
Yeah.
She really does have a fundamental base in terms of her, as in, it's just you guys don't know that anymore. And that's okay. She's done a fantastic job as Natalya. Incredible for what she's doing.
Yeah.
Uh, but that's a different place, and they need a different thing from her. Although now everyone's like, oh, we want Natty. We don't want Natalia. We want Natty. We want the Loki
That's
legend. Yeah, we want to see
no,
that
that's it. I
Loki
think
where
that
she's
that
been.
that point has
Yeah,
been well and truly proven for her, hasn't it?
yeah,
Because it's Natty
yeah,
now.
yeah. Well, and the thing is, where has that been? It's always been there.
Yeah.
But that wasn't what WWE needed out of her. You
Mhm.
see?
Yeah.
So this is why Natty is like forever employed, because she understands the assignment and excels. Now,
Yeah.
that being said, again, got to get back to it. Now, let's say you eliminate so many of those potential wrestlers from the event because they don't have the background, they don't have the skill
Mhm.
set underneath their training to deliver this. There's already less women wrestlers in the world than there are already men. Now you do that again, holy shit. The amount of female wrestlers that are available to you is like, and then you
Yeah.
go, okay, I'm gonna go travel to a whole nother market and locale. Oh shit. I used Chat GPT, I used Grok, I used all kinds of things to track down whoever I could find. And it was like constantly just coming up with either people who don't wrestle anymore or people that are already hired in other companies that I'm not going to be able to get access to. And even
Yeah,
that list was like that freaking big for the
yeah,
UK. It was minuscule, it's tiny. So maybe, just maybe, and this would be amazing, we have some female fans in attendance, big female pro wrestling fans, or even uh, other women's pro wrestlers of
Yeah.
Europe or the UK, and they see this and they see the Snake Pit match and they see Roy Wood and they go, maybe I'll go up there and work with Roy. And then
yeah, yeah.
maybe I can get an in to work some with Marty Jones. And then possibly maybe I'll join a jiu-jitsu school, or I'll join an MMA school. And I'll spend a little bit of time in the week working on that there and building that base as far as like an actual combat athlete, which does come in handy. Look, you could never do a shoot style match in your entire life, but if you go and train kickboxing and MMA and BJJ, and even if you're not really you're not competing, you're not going super hard, but you're doing some sparring work in the week, and you will never blow up. You're never going to hurt anybody on accident. You're going to be so much more capable of doing literally anything and everything in the ring. Even if you go out there and you never throw a middle kick, you never Achilles lock anybody, you're not hitting anyone with double legs into arm bars. You do none of that. In fact, all you do is run the ropes and flip, and you will still be way better at doing that than you were before. And I hope that we can try to encourage some folks to, especially some female wrestlers, to take that pathway, because I'd love to do a Bloodsport card where I'm coming back to the UK and it's like, well, man, I've got so many now women's talents that need spots on these shows. And how am I going to fit them all in? How much time? Hey, progress. No, we need to do it. We got to have 2 days for this because we've got so much options. That's the way I see success happening in a long-term sense, hopefully.
Oh, absolutely love it.
It'd
Love
be
everything
so
you're
cool
doing.
to think you can inspire some people. That'd be
Yeah,
amazing.
100%. Yeah, I mean,
Well,
it sounds like it's going to
people get
be.
so hung up on the now, right? They want
Mm,
everything, they want it to be exactly how they envision it and how they think it should be immediately, and why hasn't it been here yet? And some of these things are just hard to develop, and it takes
Yeah.
time. And in this case, like we as in producing Bloodsport and doing this, we have to get out there and make that impact on someone enough to want to draw them into what we're doing. And even then, some people, maybe it's going to take them a little longer than you think to get acclimated.
yeah.
Nothing's a given.
No, as you say though, I mean, it's an excellent base, isn't it?
Yeah.
Something that people should do, even if they don't use it, as you say. But yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone's going to walk away from the show with going, "Holy shit!"
Oh yeah.
So looks amazing, and thank you again so much for taking the time. September 28th in Camden, Bloodsport, London.
Indeed.
Thanks
All
for
right.
taking the time.
Thanks.
A to the K.
to the K. A to the K.